cars, sunset and fine. Yes, I'm still afraid to cut down on my leisure time. I watch the bombs watch out for me, brown paper bags and twisted hopes. I feel so paralyzed. God, am I hooked on these daytime soaps? Meanwhile, my tattooed princess, she's dyeing her hair. She's trying on her pink flannel skirt, dusting off her vinyls. She's taking good care. I'm wishing the winds blew harder and helped me to get back home, where incense and Cuban coffee wait for me. The flower boys wear their chains and trim their beards so neat. I say hi as I'm floating by, and I try not to trip over my feet. The smell became my friend.
I haven't been to makeup yet either. The makeup gals and guys are waiting for me. I just wanted to let you know that I have started rereading this America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots. Now you're thinking America and Cult of the Cactus Boots a diagnostic. Now you're thinking I'm not American. I'm not interested in a diagnostic. I'm not into boots. I'm not into cacti. If you're into books, if you think books are important, if you think reading shutters you free from the shackles of the drudgery of normative behavior that is that you're conditioned to follow, and you have to open your mind. But you do not need full consciousness replacement. There are illustrations in here. You will have to go deep into the book. Here. This is experimental. This is, to use the term thought-provoking wouldn't do this justice. This is an immersive experience. This makes Second Life look like a black and white early Hollywood Charlie Chaplin routine. I don't want to. Charlie Chaplin was always brilliant, even with 5 frames a second routines. But you know what I mean. It is. There's no comparison, and I didn't want to compare the book to. I didn't want to use something else, to put something else down to lift up the book, like saying, compared to Second Life, this book is more immersive. It's amazing that a book with words can be so immersive, compared to a visual medium. And there are visual aids here. There's Steven Seagal. He's a bad guy. So there's a plot. There's a conspiracy plot. There are echoes from the future. There's underground tunnels. But this is much more than a simple plot-driven from A to Z type of drama structure. Anyways, if you have $28 or euros, it's almost the same, euros and dollars. This is the ritualistic handshake. Please become part of the cult by purchasing the book now. Ordered from Rick Harsh. He is the proprietor of Corona Samizdat publisher, and he is single-handedly packing these, shipping them to you from Slovenia. I don't know why he's hiding out in Slovenia. He's American, but he had to go. deep undercover. It's actually not that deep because the town that he lives in is has maybe like 2,000 people there. It's on the coast of Slovenia. It's a beautiful town. And if you wanted to hunt him down and get this book signed, it's probably easier to go to him than to go to the author Philip Friedenberg and the illustrator Jeff Walton because they're in Buffalo, New York. Um, Wait, I'll show you one more thing. Here we go. This is hilarious. This is Jeff, the illustrator, and Philip, the author, wearing Rick Harsh masks. Who is Rick? Rick Harsh is the publisher. Philip is the author. Jeff is the illustrator. And the three of them are the Word Terrorist Network. So become part of the cult. And I'm gonna go into makeup to do the morning news on camera in a normative way, in a formatted way. Hi, good morning. How about the new lip gloss? How about World War III? Oh, what a bummer. But let's get shopping first. God, I'm losing it. Shouldn't have restarted this book. Shouldn't have restarted this book.
All right. Welcome to the Second Life Book Club. My name is Draxtor Dupre, and this is my puppeteer. And yeah, this was a bit of a pre-roll um, to set the stage for America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, which is a absolutely transformative book. Anyways, welcome Paradise, welcome Little Brad, welcome Delia, Jessica, Shyla, Stranger, Jared the Bot, Monkey, Professor Graceful, oh, a new person. Pixel, Professor Graceful, Pantera, Polnocci, drinking, always drinking coffee, too much coffee. And in the back there, Espresso Depresso, and Julie Woritzek, 1891, and Flenser Jürgens. Now, as always, I encourage you to interrupt me anytime, but you got to be quick. I do want to talk today about this absolutely transformative book, America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, which was written by Philip Friedenberg, illustrated by Jeff Walton, and put out by Rick Harsh over in Slovenia. He's the American expat who started his own press because, well, you if you don't get published, you do your own thing, and he's very successful with it. America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots is a transformative experience. It's not a book. It's a novel. It's an immersive experience hiding in a novel. On the surface, on the surface is a dystopian plot. It's plays possibly in the future, possibly in the present. The time goes back and forth. Sometimes the Earth is populated. Sometimes the Earth is already vacated. Sometimes everybody is underground because President Rolf has declared that the word is illegal. And the three protagonists, who are also the writers, Rick, let me just put this over and turn this around. Rick, Philip, and Jeff, they're part of the Word Terrorist Network. Now, the words themselves come alive. They write poetry. They engage in clandestine behavior to get back creativity. So this is really an ode to creativity, but it's very experimental. I'm not going to say it's easy to read. What does that even mean? But it is completely transformative. It is absolutely worth it, even if you just read one page a day. It will transform you, it will change your outlook on what creativity is. And I said earlier before we went on air that this is not just, I don't know, like a little pamphlet a 500 578 page pamphlet of like, okay, writing, playing with crayons is nice, or building stuff in a sandbox is good for your work-life balance, or that kind of stuff. It goes way deeper into the philosophy of creativity. And it also looks critically at the state of affairs today with commodified constant entertainment. There are some um, dystopian sci-fi tropes in there with uh, omnipresent screens and nobody able to engage with challenging text longer than maybe 5 seconds and that kind of stuff. But that's really just sort of to string you along a little bit, and then it jumps back and forth in time through reality, through fiction. I guess this is called metafiction. I read about this. I'm not an academic, but in some of the reviews, it's referred to as metafiction. And what is really interesting is that the the book is referred to in the book itself as the book is written, and Rick Harsh, who is in Slovenia in reality, and the two other guys, Philip and Jeff, the illustrator and the writer, are in Buffalo, New York. They receive transmissions from the great beyond from Rick Harsh. So Rick Harsh, unbeknownst to him, I spoke to him in real life, becomes a character in this book who is pushing the narrative forward. A character who is instrumental um, in leading the word terrorist network, the network that wants to bring people back to reading. Anyways, this is just such an amazing celebration of the written word, and it's just to see this as someone who loves books, but then my day job is in audiovisual um, media entertainment, arguably, that someone can pull something like this off is absolutely amazing. And these guys are coming on the Second Life Book Club on November 30th. All the information is in the calendar. Check it out. I'm starting to reread the book. I started rereading the book yesterday. So I'm reading a lot slower. And if somebody wants to read along with me, get the book now from Rick from Corona Samistad. Maybe somebody can paste the link in here. I think Jared might have the link. Jared, can you just paste the link? Where is Jared when we need him? Here he is. Thank you, Jared. Um, yeah, and read along and message me what your thoughts are, and we can sort of go back and forth about it. How has it changed, transformed your ideas of creativity and how you approach a creative task? Paradise, that's a great question. So I really plowed through this I forgot, it was early this year when I heard about it through a booktuber, Chris Villa, Leaf by Leaf. He's a great booktube channel. Um, and then I plowed through it so fast. I consider myself a creative person. Um, and I have certain techniques that sort of like I have a certain philosophy about discipline and sitting down at certain times and routine, but also being very cognizant of the difference between the brainstorming phase and then once you have something, you have to make decisions, which also then means you have to exclude certain things that may come later, but you have to know when to stop basically the daydreaming brainstorming process and sit down and get the thing done. And then you can go back and forth, but that is over my 35 plus years, 40 years almost, being a professional in the sense that I'm earning an income through um, music, then radio production, and now film. That comes over time, but the book still blew me away by embracing it goes four dimensional. I don't even know what to say. But to answer your question, Paradise, with my experience and me feeling quite comfortable with with a certain routine and technique that yields a result. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a genius or anything, but I am proud of of a technique. Mm, that where I can tap into something, right? So you basically, as a creative person, I think you have to create a relationship with your intuition, and the intuition tells you stop here, or take this, or this is garbage, or this is gold. While somebody who doesn't have that experience or that relationship with their gut may think like, oh, what you're pursuing is garbage, and that what you threw away is gold, right? So that is different for everybody, but that comes over time. And that is also talked about in the book in very profound ways. Now I'm making the book sound like sort of an instructional manual. No, it's not. It's much more esoteric and at the same time visceral. Um, to answer your question about I don't know, I forgot if you asked me what changed, but this is what I wanted to say. What changed for me after reading this is basically what I feel or felt when I went to elementary school art exhibits. And I think I told this before. When you go to elementary school art exhibits, for me personally, mm, what is amazing is second grade and third grade. Fourth grade, not so much, and then middle school, not interesting. Why? It's an explosion of color, usually, what the kids present there. It's a complete explosion. It's an exuberance. It's an unself-conscious, playful way with the medium of paint and paper. And this is what this book basically celebrates. And it stipulates that if we lose that, and again, other people have made that point ad nauseum, if we lose that playfulness, we will destroy ourselves as mankind. Period. Right? So I think what the book taught me is, and Shyla knows this. I and I just said it. I do consider myself fairly regimented in my approach to things, and I'm not saying this is good for everybody, but it works for me. So the routine, um, the day and getting up at the same time, doing very very regular things, and then having these brainstorming processes, and then walks, and then in the shower the ideas come. That's also not new. A lot of people talk about that. There's actually interesting research about why in the shower ideas come or problems solve themselves. Um, what the book has added to this is that you can do this many, many more playful ways. You will tap into much more if you just go completely nuts without taking drugs. If you if you read this book on drugs, or you think the people, actually, I'm going to ask them when they come, uh, if they do take drugs to enhance their experience or their creativity. Again, I have an opinion on that, but I don't want to judge other people if it works for them. For me, it doesn't. Um, the book has those vibes. But anyways, yeah, Paradise. Let me look at the exact phrasing of that question, because that opened now a total stream of consciousness. Drax, how has this change transformed your ideas of creativity? Yeah. So then let me summarize this in a nutshell. It showed me that I don't have to be that regimented. I guess that's the lesson of this book, that I can be a little looser with the daily rundown of tasks. Um, Again, when you have deadlines, when you have a job and you have deliverables, there are certain constraints. Um, Again, the book does not, sometimes you get this very very simplistic view of the creative process, as like, yeah man, I'm just gonna look into the sky until the ideas fall out of the sky, and then it's all good, and you're stressing out about it, man. You and you got to get it done by 5 o'clock, man. That's not how it works. That's not real art. I'm a real artist. The book doesn't even touch on this at all, about this sort of ridiculous, I don't know, black and white fight between, like, you're constraining my free expression, man, by telling me I have to deliver it at 5 o'clock, while the other guy says, "Hey, you should stop smoking pot, and deliver this shit at 5 o'clock." Or I don't know, for 20 years you've been recording 2 songs and you're still not done, right? I mean, just set yourself a deadline. So this is a dichotomy, that exists. Now that I'm talking about it, this is something, of sort of a band dynamic. I mean, I played in bands for a very long time. Now I kind of miss it, but there was a time when I was like, oh my God, am I thankful that I'm done? Because those are the dynamics in a band. When you we go like, how about that riff? Come on, let's finish that song. No, man, I gotta like let it flow, man. I don't know. Go with stream of consciousness. Go with your gut. Just do it. The book just opens these vessels of self-reflection, right? About what is this process, and it also, yeah, what is the process, and what is the process for me? It forces you into a self-reflective mode. There is a section in the book, also, what the book also does. I mean, Paradise asked me specifically about my creative process, and the short answer is, um, it the book told me that I can be a little bit looser, not totally into the, like, let me lay in the sun, man, for 5 days and I'll come up with something cool. Not like that, but a little looser. The other thing that the book does very effectively is to force you to slow down. The book is like yoga. This is actually, I wrote a review on Goodreads when I first read it, and I wrote something like, the book is like when I was doing a yoga class, a beginner's yoga class last year or two. No, no, before COVID, sorry. And it was really cool. And then the teacher says, you can do a headstand. I go like, what? No, and I recently lost a little bit of weight. I said, I can't do a headstand. And then I was trying it and I did it, and I was in the headstand for a split second, and she helped me a little bit, and it was an exuberant feeling. It was unbelievable. And this is how, what the book does. And the book puts you into a state of euphoria. The book is a dopamine delivery source, which usually is associated with very bad stuff, right? Like drugs, sweets. Um, oh, Julie. Oh, I must leave. So sorry, I was here listening again. Julie, befriend me, and I'll invite you to the group later. Thanks for coming. We do this every Wednesday. So the book forces you to slow down like yoga does. It does so not with pretentious complexity, although it is complex. Um, there are complex passages for sure, and it references uh, physics and metaphysics and very technical concepts, but the way it forces you to slow down is by basically over pages. For okay, concrete example, the protagonists, they go into word tunnels. They go through word tunnels where the words hide themselves from President Rolf, who wants to make the words illegal. And then they have a disease, and you read this, and your mind is just, it's really like semi-psychotic state when you read this. When they have the disease, then they start speaking weirdly, and it's I think it's about 10, 15 pages of gobbledygook, but not random. I could I could like, if I had to write like, oh, my protagonist is going crazy, and then you just randomly type on the keyboard or whatever and just put that in there. No, it's really thought through, and it draws you into a weird state of panic, and then it releases you when the protagonist gets better. And it's all done with words. It's absolutely crazy, right? I mean, here in Second Life, you could do that. For example, you could do something like that with a particle effect, or I don't know, or like a game. In the audiovisual world, there's a million things you can do. Like I always say, I come from audio, sound design, music, etc. You can do certain frequencies, 40 hertz, whatever. They make you uncomfortable in your stomach. Some people throw up, whatever. This is all done with words, and there is it just makes your feelings flood out like as if you're in some sort of meditative state, and the greatest therapy on earth is telling you the right the right things, like a yoga enlightenment experience. And a lot of books do something very important if you engage with them for a considerable time in a meaning, you know shut yourself off from everything. I mean, that's what I would recommend. Set your reading time, whatever time you have, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, but put everything away. I have my little phone jail. Put the phone in jail. um, no screens. Go in a different room if that's available. Have a specific chair and all this kind of stuff. So books, when you do that, the book will help you relax and slow down, and just disengage from the madness of the accelerated, overwhelming everyday. This book does it on another level, and it also does that with repeating certain words, with making the font is bigger, it's smaller. There are illustrations in there too that are very funny, very cool. Um, but it does it all primarily with words. It forces you to slow down. It really is like a breathing exercise, right? Like a mindful meditation exercise without the text that the mindful meditation guy tells you if you do an audio version or whatever. You see what I mean? I mean, it's not. I'm not saying you open this book on page 120 that says breathe in, breathe out. No, there is the word Earth in hiding writes a poem, and the poem is just insane. And then all of a sudden, everything slows down, and you go into this altered state. So it's like a drug. But anyway, looking at the local chat. Hello, Elian. Hello, Peter Hartmann. Hello, Roxy, who are not with us in world, but they're here. And now I have a special guest. Now I don't know what the cactus is all about. Stranger usually has a sense of everything. Maybe Stranger wants to chime in why he thinks he hasn't read the book. I'm assuming, but why is the cactus so important? I haven't figured that out. That's the first question that I will answer when these folks are coming to the show on November 30th. Why is it the cactus? Why is the cult of the cactus boots so significant? Why is the cactus signifying, I don't know, unbridled life, the life force, right? So that symbol, I think it's extremely effective, but I don't know why they picked it over another symbol. You know, I'm just throwing this out there if people have any ideas. Bixel, I appreciate that you're coming. If you want to turn around and look at this magnificent cactus, he dressed up with the book. He's holding the book. And now this is an extended reading. The peyote cactus, yeah, stranger. I mean, the cactus multiplies and spreads in the book. There's so many different things. The source in the desert, yeah, life source in the desert, Shiloh. That was my initial uh, idea, that because again, in the world that the book is set in, the written word is demonized, it is criminalized. So there's a desert of reading. people don't read to begin with, and then the very oppressive authoritarian regime in America in that fictional future or past is creating more circumstances and more situations where people read even less than they already do. And so this word terrorist network of these three people comes together. Um, and there's also an agent called Smelly. He's called Smelly Barefeet. Smelly Barefoot. Sorry, Smelly Barefoot. He's a wood nymph, and he actually introduces them to the cactus boots, and then they go into full cactus boots. But I think that the reason why they chose this as the metaphor is that the cactus is providing, or is thrive is surviving in a desert landscape. So now the cactus is going to do a special reading here of about 10 minutes. I recorded this spur of the moment, inspired by the book Paradise. I was like, okay, I have other things on my calendar, and then I did what the book told me. That the book told me, wait a minute, you can record this with reverb and different voices, like a little bit of a radio drama type style and music and stuff. Why don't you do it? Do it. And then I did it, and it came up pretty cool. So it starts off, just let yourself be sucked in by this, right? So the premise again is we are in an authoritarian situation here. The word is illegal, and there are tons of agents running around. And these agents are antenna agents, they're called. And their organization, looking at my notes, are called the Total Information Control Initiative. So these agents work for the Total Information Control Initiative. And this is how it's going to start. This is the um, this is one agent who is reporting to his superiors about surveilling the word terrorist network agents, the three guys who are involved in the book. Their real life names: Philip Friedenberg, Jeff Walton, and Rick Harsh. Jamonkey, thank you for your tip. Jamonkey, did I acknowledge that you're here? Where's Jamonkey? Look at this. Jamonkey is part of the screen generation. He brought his own screen. Very good. So this is how the audio excerpt starts. I'm going to start it in a second, and then just follow along. Try to get into this groove. Again, we're starting from the account with the account of one of the agents that is surveilling the word terrorist network. And the word terrorist network are our three people that wrote themselves into the story. Are you ready, Second Life Book Club general manager? Yes, he transformed himself into a cactus. Here we go. Take it away.
For immediate Total Information Control Initiative Thought Frequency Surveillance Assignment. Case agent to be assigned, TICI Antenna Agent 4104. Objective: immediately begin direct thought frequency surveillance of the highly subversive Friedenberg-Walton-Harsh Word Terrorist Network. Primary directive: Antenna Agent 4104 will be responsible for the immediate identification of the Friedenberg-Walton-Harsh active neural substrate correlates for the initial high-frequency tuning of the thought frequency detection and interception frequencies, working in cooperation with the appropriately appointed Project Cloudhouse agents who will scan, tune, and locate the active creative thinking neural groupings specific to the surveillance and suppression substrate correlates. Avoid, neutralize, or eliminate any interfering static interruption while conducting all surveillance. Create routine surveillance reports, as well as identify an inventory of high-risk, high-threat thought words for further thought surveillance targeting parameters. All assigned antenna agents are to immediately report to Operation Bovine Mind Dome in Wichita, Kansas, for entry into the Friedenberg-Walton-Harsh Word Terrorist Literary Text Stream. All assigned antenna agents will use the gateway experience for long-term remote entry access into what has been described by the Total Information Control Initiative as The book. All agents will ascend through the 7-wave out-of-body process to enter the book, following the sequence Wave 1, Discovery, Wave 2, Threshold, Wave 3, Freedom, Wave 4, Adventure, Wave 5, Exploring Focus 15, Wave 6, Odyssey, Wave 7, Voyager. Upon entry into the book, the assigned antenna agents are to report to Operation Bovine Mind Dome Operative 11 for literary text stream text analysis assignment location protocol. The reader, the novel's central protagonist, enters what is known as the book. Here, 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 here. Together, hand in hand. We enter the four worlds: the world of archetypes, the world of manifestation, the world of formation, and the world of creation.
A few moments after the entire population of the Earth's people floated off the surface of the Earth, the world, once again as it was in the beginning, was empty and completely quiet. All but for the skies that were then suddenly flooded with 1,000 flocks of the melik, the alchemical birds of language that soared together toward the ascended open heavens. It was then that they steered their brilliant migratory flight pattern downward toward one single animatronic peregrine falcon that was also charging in flight downward, chasing after an invisible prey before its own logarithmic flight pattern, which took its shape in a sublime Fibonacci spiral until it opened the portal in the center of the sky that it had passed through, as all the Melik remaining in the world also passing through that portal, as they too passed through, following the entire population of the world into the unified field. Once the people of Earth, the animatronic peregrine falcon, and the 1,000 flocks of Melik ascended, the portal closed, and then the world for the last time closed its eyes and went gently back to sleep.
We are a symphony of 30 million different species, entropically colliding, furiously spinning at 1,000 miles per hour on a ball of solid rock, basalt, and granite, on a precarious wobbling axis, prattling along lost in space, hoping that someone would hear our voices or read our words and stop us, even if for just a moment, to reach out and say, "It's all going to be okay."
We are temporarily separated from all that we are, living each day, desperately trying to find new pathways to claw our way back toward whatever it is that we actually are in the grand unknown impossible scheme of things, soaring bold and alive, temporarily living in this infinite moment. Thus, we turn to take refuge in our books. We pause to seek to take refuge in the Word as we strive to understand how we not only learn how to navigate our way through the complexity of our lives, but we also use our books to learn more deeply how we navigate the seemingly insurmountable vastness of our world as well as each other. The lonely, isolated reading orbits of a million burnt out planets seem to fall dark, but somehow this one still maintained its soft, glimmering, light blue, gentle appeal, calling out, screaming at the top of our dying plague ridden lungs, both left and right, into the universe, hoping that maybe someday something or someone would reach out with a call in response, eloquently providing some type of refrain, outlining the million little ways it would one day save us from ourselves. But as of today, that call has yet to arrive. So we just stop and sit back down and continue to write in these books authored for our future selves, hoping that in some way we see how they may change before this ruggedly carved path in our history becomes forever unchangeable. Preceding the world and preceding the words, we are all wavelengths. The manner in which we structurally code these wavelengths determines the perceptive nature of the worlds we build.
This book, then, like our many inhabitable worlds, is just one singular variation of the unique coding of those same wavelengths, remodeled, restructured, and reconfigured as an artistic expression. Thus, this book is a possible world.
Abandon the meanings of the words and strip them of their structures, and once again we return to experience the nature of the primordial wavelengths existing as the same unchanging energy it has always been and always will be. regardless of the temporarily beautiful formations we struggle to conform them within today.
There was a cruelty in the way that the world had forever changed one day before our very eyes, now peering unrecognizably back at us, calling out to us by our names, the old names, the names we would now never remember because we had too many times throughout our troubled history renamed ourselves. But we could not bring ourselves to reply as we no longer held the words we needed in our hands to describe to one another what we had now just become. We had turned our backs to one another. We had turned our backs on our humanity, and we boldly stepped across the precipice into the abyss. How dare we let ourselves forget?
There's great danger. Enter the book of the timeless present moment. Decodified zone bioinformatics begin.
And so it begins.
We're now entering into the third repeated cycle of our universal conformal cyclic cosmology. We dance in the brilliance of such entropic magnitudes that we fool ourselves expressed in postmodern arabesques into the belief that maybe somehow someday this won't all come to a catastrophic end, collapsing in on itself 1,000 times over again until all that remains is the smoldering ash of our last hope that maybe it would in some way someday start all over again.
Conformal cyclic cosmology number 4 begin. Conformal cyclic cosmology number 5 begin. Conformal cyclic cosmology number 6 begin.
Through the impossible cosmic microwave background radiation noise, we put our ears to the sky and we begin to listen. Transmission from the great beyond, number 241. In a very real sense, the greater risk is restraint. Well, I don't know. It's just that if there is some connection, I have no idea. I just think that it has to. The first presentation of it, I don't know how you would put it. You're the author, and he's the that helps. You're the author. He's the illustrator, and so when you have a title page, what does the wait for Eddie Vegas have to do with it, or all that? It doesn't have to be accurate or revelatory, whatever. But there should be some suggestion so that it's known that this is something that's tied with the book, the press, that its minds are coming together. It's pretty amazing, all in all, how things are coming together. Wow, man. Where have you been? Have you considered what we're going to call this vis-a-vis fiction, nonfiction, type of fiction, type of Cult of the Cactus Boots is a what blah 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 blue. We got to have a descriptor. That's going to be just as much fun as OLOF. I think it's coming across a less and less surprising and oddly more and more amazing. Somehow it's just it's a Miller-esque inevitability. And as soon as that thing is done, I'm going to be excited and want to get it out. So there.
The text thus far, or the book itself, that is as dense as a Cornish game hen's to-do list during a Civil War time trip to the gallows, if the gallows were measured in a nun's rusted tackle box, half full of the back dew rent in a small gardener's glove full of locusts, the ones that threw those great parties we read about Nixon hosting back when his handsome hands held sweetly the modern but mercurial homunculus encrypted in the nation's grand but ever so sophisticated quantum consciousness with that likeness of the freshly minted silver dollars that he let Oliver North craft into delicious, delicious missiles. So that when these words rolled out of his mouth, his missus could say, missile lips.
Missile lips.
All right, Cactus. Thank you very much. So that was a big round of applause for the Cactus. This was a long reading from the book, and I hope it transported a little bit of this crazy madness. Another thing that occurred to me, what is so cool about this book is it shows you that you don't need to always understand everything. Okay? So I'm not gonna pretend I understand everything that the book throws at me, especially some of these physical metaphysical sections. Um, there was one section here towards the end where the music was already in, where basically, and this happens throughout the book, there are these transmissions from the great beyond. It's unclear if the Earth is completely depopulated, but what is clear, because it jumps back and forth in time, what is clear is that Philip Friedenberg and Jeff Walden, the writer and the illustrator, they hear the voice of Rick Harsh coming to them from Slovenia through an old Zenith radio, suitcase radio from 1947 that they find in the attic, and randomly these transmissions come through, and Rick gives them comments on the book as they are inside the book, but he gives them comments about what he feels the book should be. And that's what you heard towards the end, where he was like, I don't know, we should give it a descriptor, you should go like all out there and stuff like that. So the writing process, the creative process, is, is kind of interwoven into this narrative in a way that I have not, and I read all the, Stranger knows, Stranger knows that I love Pynchon, although I only read three Pynchon books. But anyway, so some of the greatest postmodern Americans I've read, but this is, this is a 40-year-old guy who works in a print shop in Buffalo, New York, and he just pulled this off in 6 months. It's just totally insane. I mean, he's very humble. I saw a few interviews, and he says, yeah, I wrote this down in 6 months, but this has been living with me for 20 plus years. And he creates his in his own character. I said this off the air earlier. His parents, his character in the book, the parents of that character were CIA, and they had to go undercover because they were going to be offed by the Reagan administration, and they give him this fiction generating machine that they got from the aliens to his for his 21st birthday, and then he basically has writer's block for 20 years. That's sort of is also woven into the story. I find that really hilarious, where he kind of, you know, in a way just not justifies, but he explains why he hasn't written this book that's been with him. Um, let's see here. Oh, I want to throw this up here real quick because this is very eerie. Today is election day in America. This is from the Hive Mind Gazette from the book. The Hive Mind Gazette is an underground newspaper that writes about is written by people who live underground. The Hive Mind Gazette, September 29th. 93% of all Americans now stare exclusively at screens while the country burns. 71% of the American public has not spoken, read, or written a single word in the previous 45 days. Americans have completely lost their ability to know one another as the country is totally divided. The printed word is nearly vanishing. Civil war now wages into its 123rd consecutive day of bloody conflict in the streets. Little bit, you know, for I don't know, foreshadowing or backshadowing, but this is sort of sprinkled throughout the book, the Hive Mind Gazette. It gives it a little structure where sometimes, then it tells you a little bit what is going on, but it's not the plot in that sense, or that kind of plot, as you may expect from a sort of dystopian sci-fi novel. If you expect that linear plot, you will be totally disappointed. It's not what it is, but it provides a little bit of the back texture. I think that's important. So actually, one question that I want to ask the writer Philip Friedenberg when he comes on the show, November 30th, and now is the time actually to order the book so you can read along. This is an infomercial, don't forget. One of the questions I want to ask him is, and I think earlier somebody talked about this, or here on the YouTube chat, I think Peter was saying like, is also drawings are drawings also outlawed in this fictional America? one question that I have is why the word? Because Philip, I know, was a musician, a professional touring musician. Why the word is so important to him vis-a-vis, let's say, music. That's what I want him to elaborate on. I mean, I happen to agree as a musician myself, and it's weird because music, you can argue that music is a much more universal language, because here we're talking about English, right? I mean, I would love to have this book translated into many different languages. I don't know if it works, or if it even works in other cultural contexts. I think it could, because it's about creativity. But then again, the title is America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, a diagnostic. So it's specifically about American culture. Um, so yeah, that's what I would like to know from the writer, why he is is so obviously convinced that the written word, is the key to pretty much everything. While a lot of people object, they, for many, a lot of academic research um, around the limitations of language, how language itself is already, you know, th- as soon as we open our mouths, we're limiting ourselves to a confined world. And here the writer suggests that only by using the word we are opening the world. We're creating the world, a limitless world, while a lot of academics would say the language is limiting the world. So, anyways, this is just God. Jessica, why don't you come up on stage and tell us a little bit about ñaño ñaño ñaño, whatever that is. I'm gonna shut
Oh,
up.
Jax. Yeah. Okay. I have a new microphone, so I'm hoping everybody can hear me beautifully.
Yes.
Right. Good, good. Okay. Now, this is Jax just did the best introduction to what I'm going to talk about. He said, a technique that yields results.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he said, a regimented approach.
That's what I'm trying to get
Uh,
away with, and now you're selling me
yeah.
something that okay, go ahead.
Okay, routine, he said. Deadlines, he said. So, I've never done this before. This is, and here comes the link, it's National Novel Writing Month. No, people call it. I can never pronounce it properly. Now, what this is, look at the Wikipedia. It's not a competition. You sign up to do 50,000 words in 1 month.
Hmm.
And you have a target. You do around 1,600 a day. And at the end of the month, you have a 50,000 word novel. There are not really any rules. There's a website where you can register and where you can log on. And there are groups you can join. And the group I'm with, which is the self-publishing formula group, we do our writing sprints with a few famous authors, actually, which means they come on the camera and we can see them and we all write together. And I
Oh,
never
so you're
wanted to
on
do it.
I see. So like you're
Mm,
in a big open air room loft, and you're writing together. And then you glance at the
yeah,
camera, and then you say, "Well, I
yeah.
don't have any ideas." And then the other guy says, "Shut up."
Well, we support each other. That's the point. You support each other, and you have a log of your achievement. So I never thought I would do this, but then it was suggested that this was a good way of getting the third in the series of my cat books out for Christmas.
Mhm.
Um, so I thought, right, okay, I'm going to do it. So I've signed up. So far, I've only done about 1,400 words each day. We've only had 2 days. But I have an excuse because I hadn't done any research and I only had a plot. Paradise, if you go to that Wikipedia link, it will give you absolutely everything you need to know in quite a well-written way. One of the interesting things is a lot of really, really good, it's about 400 really good novels have come out of this.
Hmm.
One of my biggest favorites, which I commend to you, which is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which is a book to live by. It's beautiful. That came out of this process. So tomorrow I'm going to do my words, probably in two different sit-down sessions. I'm signed up for the Orphans of From Nowhere group, which is people in Europe. Oh yeah, you must read The Night Circus. It's wonderful. I have a friend, as a sideways thing, a friend who is, she's a curator in a museum, and she has a night circus themed room in her house. And it's a circus with kittens. It's fabulous. Anyway, enough of the night circus, but I'll let you know, I'll keep you up to speed about how I go with National Novel Writing Month. And I'm hoping at the end, yeah, they do, there's an awkward group. At the end of the month, hopefully, I'm going to have a complete manuscript. And then on the 21st of November until Black Friday, which is the 25th, the first book in the series is free to download on Amazon. Then there's the second book, and then hopefully the third one I'll publish straight after. So that's what I'm doing. I recommend it. I'm enjoying it so far.
This is really great because I mean it is a
yeah.
solitary. This is probably just by that, like you were saying, with that structure that really helps. One of the things is what I find interesting is when people then look at each other on like a on a Zoom call with the camera and then they see each other writing. I find that a little, I don't know.
You don't have to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, you can just keep your camera off.
I know that
found it
helps
was
people who find it difficult to be alone. As you know, Jessica, I'm alone. I like to be alone. I feel very uncomfortable with all these people around here. I want to go.
Well, I heard a really interesting thing, and I've now forgotten who said it. It was John le Carré in his letters, which I'm reading. He said he had to have a job because if he didn't have contact with people, he would never write anything.
Ah,
And now I don't have a full-time job. I now know how that feels. I have
yeah.
room to write, but I don't have language going in the background. I speak
I see.
English twice a week for about an hour and a half, and I'm here. That's my total conversation. It's not good for me.
Yeah.
So I'm finding this good. It was nice to listen to somebody typing who had some interesting background music. And I've been really speed plotting my book because it's set in the reign of Queen Elizabeth in England, Queen Elizabeth I. And I realized I was very short of historic information. It's one of my cyber books, so it just goes on getting sillier. But
That
I
is
recommend,
fantastic. And
yeah.
please post your link to your website again for everybody here. Most people know, but
Okey-dokey.
always post.
Yeah, my book, my crime book, has gone wide this week. It's unhooked from Amazon, and it's wide on dozens and dozens of different sites. And now I have a battle to fight with Google because I wanted to produce an audiobook, and Google won't let me because I live in the Netherlands.
What?
Yep, it's as I keep explaining to them very carefully, it's in English. But that's a
But
very
what does
helpful
Google have
person.
to do with that?
Well, they have the software. They control the software. If you want to produce an audiobook, it costs an arm and a leg. But Google have software to do it for free.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's
I wanted to do it.
amazing.
Yeah, but somebody has given me an email address of a Google executive, and I'm going to take my case to them. and see if they can give me
So
access.
the automated system basically thinks like, oh, you're living in the Netherlands, that this does not is not open to you. It's only open for English.
Yeah. Oh, it's open to people in Spain.
Hmm. God,
So
in a way,
I
this
find
is
it.
cool, but it's also terrifying that now this sort of this text to voice is so good that people can do audiobooks automated. God, these poor voice actors, like the cactus here who just read so
No,
beautifully.
the voice actors will still have a really lucrative business. If you have a recording of your book by Stephen Fry or Miriam Margolyes or Richard Armitage, you will sell 1 million
Yeah.
simply because of who they are, which I find quite interesting. Um,
Well, yeah, but the
but
but people who are very good, again, I know, but the issue is that you know working people technological progress does usually not affect rich people and celebrities and or rich celebrities where there is a lot of overlap as you mentioned, but it affects a lot of working people.
well, I could do it myself. I could do my own voice recording,
That would be cool.
but not for a long book. And not for my crime book, which needs to have a Canadian male voice.
Hmm.
So I'll put that on the back burner. I wanted to try AI. I wanted to see what it was like. Um, Hopefully, Google will give me a VPN or something so I can do it. But at
Hmm.
the moment, my brain is on the National Novel Writing Month. It's taking some discipline. There are no prizes. The only prize is doing it, which I think it's, yeah. And hopefully there'll be a book um, to publish in December. So life is busy.
Thank you,
So
Jessica. This is absolutely
recommend it.
super fascinating with this. I love the idea of having a positive collaborative way to yeah to kick each other in the butt a little bit with following through and getting up and getting the thing done. Very cool.
I think another word, Drax, is motivate each other.
Kicking someone in the butt, yeah, motivate that word. Words. What do words mean? Words don't come easy to me. What is that? Um, National Novel Writing Month. You said, oh yeah, this a quick question. You said something like 400 something books, good books came out of this
Yeah,
per year.
yeah. Well, there's an awful lot come out of it.
Hmm.
There's all kinds of various things you can enter and various manuscript offers you can get. But really,
I
it's
am a
the
very good reader,
satisfaction
I
is
have to
doing
say.
it.
Hire me. Hire me. I am not Stephen Fry, but I am good.
Oh, sorry. See, somebody was reading here. What's going on here?
Ooh.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Say
No.
that again. About the
So,
400 something books because I don't know. Somebody was saying he's not Stephen Fry, but he wants to be hired. I don't know who that
no.
was.
Well, could he do a Canadian accent?
Probably not. It sounded like I'm a very good reader. I am very good.
No.
Hire me.
If you can, a voice actor will cost you around 4,000, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of money. So yeah, I want to try AI. It's all part of an experiment um, that I want to try.
No, that's very
But
cool. I mean, I'm fascinated by how fast how fast the train is moving in that regard. Hello, Zara Fiasco. Welcome to the Second Life Book Club. Now I get to say what I love to say because as a son of a teacher, I like to say things like, "You're about an hour late." Sorry. I
Yeah, I
was
know, but I'm in Australia, so it's different time limit times here. So
there. You go. See the
it's like,
Australians; they don't know their own time zones. Oh boy. No, no, Zara. Welcome. It's always at 12 o'clock Second Lifetime. So yeah, we're about to wrap. Jessica, thank you. Jessica just told us about the National Novel Writing Month, and I'm going to wrap this up with a short page of page 69 from America and the Cactus Boots. Why? Because we learned this a long time ago, and I forgot who told us this. Maybe Shala, you remember this, but somebody said if you pick up any book and open it at page 69, then you will find, if you read that page, you will know if this book is for you. And this is apparently from a Canadian media theorist and philosopher and sociologist Marshall McLuhan. This originates from. So look that up and verify that. I can't look it up right now. But we tried that several times over the last 2 years with different books, and it's actually quite amazing. And I do this for fun now. Of course, this is, you don't know if the paperback edition might have a completely different page 69 than the hardback or whatever. But it happened to me now many times that page 69 somehow uh, had a certain oomph to it, and so I'm going to. Zara missed the wonderful reading that the cactus gave us. But Zara, you have to put in your calendar November 30th when we get the writers of this absolutely magnificent book, America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots. So I'm going to read page 69 now. My reading is probably not going to be half as good as the cactus was. This cactus will go waste, Jessica. He will beat any AI audiobook. Okay, here we go. Page 69. We were still receiving a daily newspaper each morning. It was the last underground print paper left in America, distributed by the Task Force for American Literacy. This was a group of underground publishers fighting the government's war against the written word, who had an underground distribution network that sought to keep America unified and informed through the passage of authentic factual information that was vetted by a board of research directors kept hidden in underground bunkers throughout the world, who were the last remaining guardians of truth and information, who fact checked all published information in their papers to verify its authenticity. The paper was called the Hive Mind Gazette, and the Hive Mind Gazette was under daily attacks from American President Rolfe, who had recently signed an executive order banning anyone from printing words and declared anyone caught printing, reproducing, sharing, or distributing the written word to be punishable up to a maximum sentence of life in prison. American President Rolfe himself described the workings of the HMG as something he called fake news as well as fake facts. The president himself had organized truth and information destruction task forces to comb all of human social communication information platforms to eliminate the truth, information, and communication. American President Rolfe promised that if reelected by the first month of his second term, he would completely eliminate the written word from human history and institute his grand vision known as Screen America Incorporated, in which all Americans would be mandated to wear government run face screens that would stream non-stop feeds of pleasure images designed to repeatedly stimulate the optogenetically identified dopamine neurons in the lateral ventral tegmental area of the brain on a neuromanipulated paradigm founded on principles of reward and punishment. At its simplest, the president would create an integrated, unified neural police force that would police the human minds of every American, that would be linked in neuronal network platforms controlled by integration into their government issued face screens. A pleasure point system would then be created for every American based on his or her level of obedience. All right, that was page 69. Now, having read I'm on my reread. Now, this is interesting because here, page 69 is basically sort of almost summarizing the plot where I said many times today that this plot is, you know, uh, it's good, but it's not important at all in this book. This sort of basis of this dystopian future is such a small little part, and what is summarized here, you can find countless cyberpunk, dystopian, post-apocalyptic, whatever sci-fi novels. You go into Barnes and Nobles and you will find 200 that you can buy off the shelf right now. But this book is so much more than a simple sort of projection into the future. Um, yeah, Zara, but watch the show. I mean, we're recording it. It's gonna go up now. And November 30th, these guys are coming in. So America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, a ode to creativity, an ode to the importance of unbridled, uncontrolled, even chaotic endeavors into the creative force, an experimental book, a difficult book, and by difficult to me is the highest praise because it's challenging. You won't understand everything, and it doesn't matter. It will stimulate you, it will transform you, it will change your outlook. Yeah, and Jessica says November 30th. I can confirm I did my 50,000 words. I wish good luck to everyone who is in the Nano. Wait, I gotta throw up my different sign here because we're wrapping at the National Novel Writing Month, and I'm going to wrap with the outro music, so we get a clean cut on the YouTubes, and I'll see you all next week. Next week, oh yeah, real quick, next week another free for all. If you want to read something, a work in progress, or if you want to talk about book related stuff, please message me a couple days before, please, because if I don't hear from anybody, then I will prepare something. But I would like to have participation. There were a few people who said, well, there's no participation, and I was a little offended by that because I do open the door all the time. But then if nobody walks through that door and says, well, the door is closed, that's just factually not true. These free for all, you can ping me, you can read a work in progress, you can read an excerpt, or you can talk about something that you're passionate about, or message me with a prompt of a subject matter. We had I forgot her name, German friend, Elian is her other alt. She wanted to talk about popularity of fantasy novels in certain turmoil times in the real world versus sci-fi, that kind of stuff. So interesting stuff. Message me and I will say goodbye. And again, thank you for coming. Our newcomers, Sarah Fiasco and Professor Graceful, very nice. Oh yeah, and then on the 19th we have Joy Watson. Please check the calendar. That's new. Joy Watson is filling in for Stephen Thrasher, but Joy Watson, author from South Africa, amazing. And then Courttia Newland, absolutely amazing. The River Called Time, one of the best books I've read in the last few years. So we got three authors. Thank you, Shala, posting the links here to the calendar and the book group. Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna play some outro music and say goodbye.
Remind myself a goddess achieving her goal, packing her vintage leopard purse, touching up a lipstick. She's my good soul. I'm wishing the wind blew harder and helped me to get back home, where incense and Cuban coffee wait for me. The flower boys wear their chains and trim their beards so neat. I say hi as chains and trim their beards so neat. I say hi as I'm floating by, and I try not to trip over my feet. Meanwhile, my team of high priests completing their ritual. They're boarding their fleet of Batmobiles, lighting up some candles. They're ready to roll.